Very good. All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. Today is Monday, April 21st, 2025. It is 9 a.m. All council members are present, including the town attorney, town manager, and town clerk. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, or the invocation, followed by the Pledge.
We ask that you bless us with your presence here today. Grant us the wisdom to see all things in true perspective. Grant to us the patience to hear one another with open minds and hearts. Grant us the strength to meet all present challenges. May all that we do this day bring us honor and credit to ourselves. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is the approval of the final agenda. We do have a couple of changes. Nancy, do you want to lead off, or you want me to?
Sure. No, I'm happy to. We would be requesting a continuance of the first public hearing that you have, which is a request for a lien reduction at 8124 Estero Boulevard. I believe the attorney for the property owner is present. I would just ask that we open the hearing and then we close the hearing, continuing it to May the 5th. We think that we found a resolution to this matter that would not require town council action. So give us a little bit of time.
Okay. And item B?
So item B is an appeal of the building official decision issued for a building permit at 213191 Wigan Terrace. Unfortunately, our building official is not able to be with us today to answer questions regarding this matter. So when we come to this item, you have two choices. You could continue the item to a date certain, which we would say May the 5th, your next meeting, or you could open your hearing and take testimony from the parties that are present. I will add too that there was omission in the agenda materials of some information that I think is relevant to this appeal. If we were to continue the item, then we'd have the opportunity to supplement your agenda as well.
Okay. Anything else, Nancy? For me?
No.
All right. Is there any other discussions or changes to the final agenda? Is there a motion to approve the final agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Councilor King,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Safford. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously. Public comment.
I have two signed up this
Okay.
morning. Tom Brady. Tom will be followed by James Bowen.
Morning.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady. I'm a resident and president of Protect FMB. And I wish I weren't here, but some of the rhetoric that goes on, I think I need to answer some of the things that have been said about us. A little bit about me. I've never introduced myself. I have been a public servant. I've been in the United States Army. I worked at the CIA. I hold top secret SCI clearances with polygraph, so I take a polygraph on anything that I say. I transitioned into the IT world, in the engineering IT world, as an executive, and I've worked for Fortune 1 and Fortune 25 companies with up to 240,000 employees. I manage myself for over 3,000 employees globally distributed with $300 million in revenue. So I ran a significant chunk of business. And HR, finance, legal, marketing, all reported to me in the capacity of doing that globally. And I lived in Tokyo and ran operations, and I lived in Munich, Germany, and ran operations also. So I've done this on a global level with diverse cultures. I want to say that, and maybe the operative statement but I understand that leadership, process, and accountability, I'm not new to this. On the Seagate appeal, it's an appeal. It isn't a lawsuit. And so people are saying it's a lawsuit is simply not true. What we ask for is a review of your decision, and that's part of the democratic process. The analogy is a football coach gets to drop a red flag when he doesn't agree with what the referees ruled on a play. So we're dropping the red flag saying, we think this thing deserves another look. There's evidence that wasn't presented. There's opinions that weren't correct. So we just asking for this. It's not just loyalty to the town. Every judge has a ruling overruled in once in their career. It's not a big deal to have something come back and somebody say, okay, so we should have done this one a little bit differently. It doesn't make you bad people. We don't see it that way. If questioning a decision is biased, then if it comes back to you, then we start to question, can you be unbiased if you have to look at this again? And the answer has to be yes, or you need to recuse yourself also, not just LPA members that have supported us, but if you can't be free to make a free decision, then you need to recuse yourself also. I mean, we don't attack whistleblowers in the organization. We don't attack people in the organization that don't necessarily believe everything that we see. Now, as for these people that say that we're against all development projects, we list on our website, read it, says projects of concern. We haven't come out against any of those projects. So somebody that supports us is not saying they're against, and they may just don't like Seagate, but we don't even have a position on those yet, just like you wouldn't have a position because we don't have the data on them. We don't support Seagate because it's 17 stories. We see very little public benefit, and it did not get LPA approval. We're not anti-growth, we're pro-process. So on
Wrap it up, Tom.
so on optics and credibility, I think there's a lot of different optics that could be seen on this on both sides. The optics aren't good all the way around, but we trust you. Even though the optics may not be good, we trust you to make a good decision. We'll trust you to make a good decision if it's Brock again. So please stop mischaracterizing Protect FMB from your bully pulpit. Stop besmirching those that support us.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, James Bowen. That's all I have signed up after him.
Morning.
Morning. Morning, Town Council. My name is James Bourne. I reside at 21067 St. Peter's Drive in Mantaza Point subdivision. Mantaza Point consists of 19 single-family homes located on St. Peter's Drive. I'm on the HOA board. At the annual meeting this year, the members voted to authorize me to approach the town about taking ownership and jurisdiction of St. Peter's Drive. After the meeting, I sent Vice Mayor Alterholt a note asking for direction on the matter. He suggested I come before the council to make this request. Since I purchased my home, there have been two opinions concerning the status of the road. One position was that the road was public, the other is that it was private. The latter position is based on when Lee County approved the plat of subdivision. The road was intended to be a gated community and therefore it was to be privately owned. Subsequently, either a newly incorporated town or the fire department denied the installation of a gate. Nothing more was done, and thus it remained private. The other opinion is that because it's open to the public, the town has repaved it, repaired it, and on occasion regraded the drainage, swales, and maintained the right-of-way. Either way, nothing was done to investigate the status of the status quo, and the residents didn't think much about it. However, after Ian, Elaine, and Milton, after each event, there was muck on the road and the drainage swales were silted in. It was clear that these drainage issues needed to be addressed. Actually, the town did take care of both the grading and cleaning the muck off the road. There was another issue that was caused by residents on Anchorage that got a bobcat and excavated a pit in the right-of-way to retain water. The town also took care of that. Last April, Frankie met with some of the residents and myself. We discussed the drainage issues and I asked him about the status of the ownership of the road. Under the Tier 1 grant to build, the town regraded the right-of-way coming off of Estero and the swale along the north sides of the home. The swale around the homes on the cul-de-sac was also regraded. Subsequent to that, Frankie confirmed that the road is still privately owned. In conclusion, St. Peter's Drive has been continuously open to the public. The road and the right-of-way have been maintained previously by the town. The homeowners contribute to the town's road maintenance program through their real estate taxes, and the HOA respectfully requests that the town consider accepting ownership of the road and the right-of-way. On the back of the handout, you can see where St. Peter's Drive is, and you can see that about a third of the way in, there was a turnaround. That was where the gate was to go just east of that, and someone that was not allowed access would have turned around in that turnaround. So the past practice has been that the city has provided maintenance on the road long before, or since its incorporation.
Jim, I need you to wrap it up for us. Your timer. What?
I'm all set.
All right.
That's it.
I just wasn't sure. You looked like you were going to continue on.
No,
I thought we should order lunch or something.
Anyway, I'm available for any
Good idea,
questions.
but
You look like,
Well, we're not allowed to ask questions here, Jim, but hopefully we'll be able to bring this matter up later in the meeting and hopefully get you the answers
Okay.
that you're looking for.
Thank you.
thanks.
Good morning.
That's all I have signed up.
Anyone else like to speak in public comment? Bill?
Morning, everyone. Bill Veach, Sierra Boulevard. A couple of observations, and I think that are important. One is that, the development agreement with exceptions was passed and it's in place now. And I think it's a very good idea to go through review and see if this is doing what it's supposed to do. Because all the time this is being talked about, it was that the development agreements would help the little guys be able to offset some of the expense and be able to get their projects done without all the expense. All I've seen so far are big projects using the development order. Now, it seems like there's a couple of things that does, and I didn't really even know we were talking about how this would manifest itself. But it seems like the developers work with the town to work out the kinks and before it comes to council. An unfortunate, I think, side effect of this is it seems to turn some staff into almost taxpayer-paid lobbyists for the developers. And I think that's something that is probably a good idea to do a review. If you really want this to do as it was intended, to help the little person, maybe put a cap on what you can ask for in the development order and make it so it does work for the little people. And it's not just another tool to push through development and in the shadows. Another thing is that when in our policies and procedures, we have rules about disclosure when you're meeting with someone who has something in front of the council. Now that'll be a lobbyist. Now, back before Ian, most of the things people came in front of council were things like their pool. They want a little setback variance in their pool, or their house was not conforming for something. Now you have a lot of big money coming in. I would encourage the town to look at adopting the Lee County lobbyist rules, where it's a lot more rigid, because the way things seem to be working now is that the developers have your ear through prolonged meetings and negotiations outside the public eye. And then there's not a lot of public input outside of what happens in council. I would encourage you, in addition to maybe looking at the development order, is have some town halls. Sit down with your constituents yourself personally, not necessarily you don't have to have the town run it, but you can sit down and talk with your constituents. You can get it out there and find out what people in different neighborhoods really think about the way the town is going. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Local achievements and recognitions. Coach Safford.
nothing today.
Coach Woodson.
I'm good.
Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to mention that this coming Sunday at Bayside Veterans Park, the Cruiser Appreciation Day that's April 17th from 1 o'clock to 3:30. This is an event that's really been generated and hosted by the Anchorage Advisory Committee, which I'm a liaison to, but the Anchorage Advisory Committee has done the heavy lift along with our harbor master. And it's to basically initially to thank and to support those who have patronized our mooring field, all those folks who visit our island and support our community and pay fees to do so. We want to recognize them and sort of engage with them and get a sense as to what we can do better and how we can make their experience here even more pleasant, and just to thank them for their support. We also have about 15 not-for-profits there, many of the environmental and marine groups, many of the other not-for-profits like the women's group, women's club that you all know will all be there with tents to get information from it. There'll be a lunch for the boaters. And just sort of a thank you, if you will, but a great community gathering for folks who want to learn more about the mooring field, meet some of these boaters who travel all over the world and have really interesting backgrounds, and sort of welcome them to Fort Myers Beach. It's a great operation that we have, and there's aside from it's self-sustaining. The fees take care of the costs. At least that's our goal. But it also allows these boats then to have pump-out facilities, which prevents folks from dumping into the bay water that we wouldn't want dumped into the bay, if you know what I mean. And so it's really worked out well from an environmental standpoint. So encourage folks to come out on April 17th, this coming Sunday, from 1 to 3:30, and then at 4 o'clock, there will be a band that's not part of this FMB, but it's a regular tradition at the park, and the band is Riverside, and they'll start at 4 o'clock. So come out and make an afternoon of it, and we hope to see you. Thanks.
Coach King?
I'll try to be brief. There's a couple things. I quickly just want to thank town staff for all the efforts they put into on Friday with the town manager hiring process. I think they did a great job, especially after I read over the weekend a larger town to the north of us had all kinds of trouble, and they even hired an outside search firm. So that's very telling there. So I think that says about about our staff and a lot about the folks we have here. Also, I wanted to briefly thank Joe Onzek. This is the last time probably in public to be able to do that. I know he's not feeling well today, but I did want to thank him for all he's done for the town and the time he was here. And it was an act of God that brought Ian into place, but God's grace has kept good people in place and brought others where we needed them. And Joe and a lot of the folks sitting out here today have been part of that. And I know I used to kid Joe about not sleeping at nights when he first got here because of budget concerns. Towards the end, he's sleeping a little better, and I hope he has a lot better sleep in his new position. And thank you, Joe Onzek.
All right. You guys stole mine. I think it's the benefits of going last.
But go ahead.
No, I have nothing to add to that.
Well, I do want to echo what Councilor King said. We did meet a lot about this process. We wanted to make sure that it was seamless, that it was, effortless, but it wasn't effortless. It was a lot of effort on the part of staff to get it ready, to get it set up to flow. And I read the same article, I believe, about the town north of us, much larger town, who did invest a lot of money in a consulting group, and it's a disaster, just an absolute disaster. Not being critical of any other community, just proud of how this process went, and it, and thank you too. You were part of the process as well, so that made the whole part fit together, just like we would all want our processes to be. So that was just a good example, and I appreciate all of staff's efforts and yours as well.
All right. Next, we have a couple of presentations. The first one's going to be from Restore Fort Myers Beach Arches. Steve McDonald and Earl Morgan are here to present the painting. Come on up, guys. Introduce yourselves. Let everybody know a little bit those that may not know what you've been working on. We also have Jackie Lezak is here from the chamber, as well as Commissioner Maleka.
I appreciate you guys being here to support us, Commissioner and Jackie. I just want to say that, the arches were torn down in 1979, but they were the identity of our town. A lot of us were picking up pieces on the side of the road when we saw them destroyed on the side of the road in 79. And, our first mayor, the one that helped write the 1999 comp plan, which said you were going to build the arches on School Street, commissioned that beautiful mural that you guys sat in front of in the old town hall. And it was painted by Jan Ellen Alkielski. Jan Ellen lost her home, lost her studio, and she's just now back to painting. She was actually invited to be part of that tower project, but wasn't able to do murals anymore. So this is a way to put the arches and Jan Ellen back in the town hall. And It's, I can go ahead and say it now. It was made possible by a donation by the Freeland family to our group to replace the Achieva raffle that we were going to have and give us something for the asset that Jan painted for us. But we're glad to make it part of the town hall, make Jan Ellen part of the town hall, make the arches part of the town hall. So
Ray, before you walk off, for those that may not know where they can actually go see still some of the arches that remain today, can you tell everybody where they can go to see those if they wanted to see what's left of
the arches only exist in a field in out in Buckingham right now. We recovered the remains of the arches and prepared them for our new project. But there's a stone monument down at the end of Main Street on the west side of Main Street that was built at the exact same time frame that the arches were built back in 1924. It's some of Fort Myers Beach's earliest history. And when you walk into the Historical Society down there, you'll see it honored in that respect. Tom Phillips built Crescent Street, First Street, Primo, and those canals. You know, that was an annex to San Carlos on the Gulf, not Fort Myers Beach at the time. So it's a way to keep history close, keep history in our hearts, and you guys continue to do that with projects like Mound House and the Historical Society, and I'm proud of what you guys are doing in that respect. So we're here to present this to you.
Could we,
Come on up, Andy.
before we do that, Ray, a couple things, if I could, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind folks in the Old Town Hall, which was completely destroyed after Hurricane Ian, the back mural literally encompassed the whole back wall. It was massive and it was beautiful. And after the storm, sadly, the material that the mural was painted on was a material that absorbed moisture. And sadly, we had some really bad black mold that had infiltrated that mural, so it could not be saved. We did look at trying to save it. And unfortunately, that was not the case. We were unable to do that. But it's a beautiful continuation of history, what you're doing here, Ray. And you and your organization, I thank you very much. And I would, if I could, Ray, I don't want to steal your thunder, but we do have a county commissioner here who's got some history with the arches. And I'd love to have our county commissioner, A, tell us what your history is with the arches, and then B, give us an update as to the arches being built on Bowditch Park, which is a long-term plan that we're all supportive of. But thank you for being here this morning, by the way.
Well, thank you. This is an unexpected surprise to get to speak before you today. But I'm learning not to be shy in front of a microphone these days, so thank you. No, I'm honored to be here. I came here to support these gentlemen in this project. I did want you to know that when I spoke with them for the first time, I told them that I remember being on the swing bridge and enjoying Fort Myers Beach as a young pop around here, and then going to the Hickory Barbecue afterwards when it still had sand floors and bare feet were allowed to be in the restaurant. So it's a lot of fond memories of growing up down here. So proud to support this project from the county side. We're going to help them build and locate their new Arches Memorial structure at Bowditch Park. So we're finalizing the exact site location. We know the site, but the exact position to make sure it doesn't interfere with the rebuilding of the park. And our team stands ready as soon as they're ready with their submittals and updated design plans for this. We're ready to support it in every way we can in Lee County to expedite it with your help here at the town. So proud to be here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, Earl, Jackie, either of you have anything you want to add? No? Okay.
You want to tell us about your party?
Yes.
Involves tacos?
We want to invite all you to Erickson Jensen Seafood Docks, who we're also advocating for. You know, they lost everything during Ian over there. The remaining 1,000-foot of dock is now 400 feet, and there's now 12 boats fishing out of Erickson Jensen. Before Ian, there were 42, but when I was growing up, there was 200 down there, and the docks were 2,000 feet long. So we're trying to keep them alive, and come out and support us May 3rd over at Erickson Jensen at the seafood docks. We're putting on a fiesta. It's a Cinco de Mayo event. and there's music all day long, raffles all day long. We have Mound House out there. We have the Fort Myers Beach Strong nonprofit out there. So it's not just us, it's the shrimp industry, us, Mound House, and Fort Myers Beach Strong that we're trying to pump up out there. So come on out, have fun, and be a part of our raffles. The community's given up over $8,000 worth of giveaways to us.
Taco, you gonna be there having tacos?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I was honored to be asked to be a judge, but I've got two granddaughters having their first communion, so I'm gonna be out of town.
Yeah.
I heard free shrimp. Free pink gold, the golf. I do my can of wine.
Oh, wait, Jackie's coming.
Commissioner, you should be over here front and center.
Oh, jeez.
Behind you.
I'm trying to just be a guest here.
How's that going for you?
Helped us immensely, so.
Thank you. Give that to, of course. And that to them, that way it gets to the, thank you, sir.
Great job. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jackie, Dave, for coming. Now's the, Commissioner, now's the time to run if you have to run. Word on the street is you're in town. You might. All right, I don't see the presenters. Are they here from FDOT? Is FDOT? Oh, you guys are here? Come on up. They're here to give us an update on the bridge and the roundabout in San Carlos Island. I'm sorry, I don't know the project number off the top of my head, but that whole area.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ethan Purvis. Unlike the presentation says, I am not Caitlin Carmona. I'm going to be representing her today.
Okay.
I am here on behalf of Florida Department of Transportation to explain what is currently going on the San Carlos Boulevard State Road 865 project. Now, for those that are unaware, the project's project limits, I apologize. The project limits for the San Carlos Boulevard State Road 865 is north of Crescent Street to the north of Hurricane Pass Bridge, and this is what we'll be talking about today. The goal of this presentation is to explain what has been completed so far, the goals we have for the project, and what we're looking at for the projected finish timeline of this.
What was your first name?
Ethan,
Ethan, welcome, Ethan. And what's your exact role with this particular project?
I'm the community outreach specialist. I work with Caitlin. Right now, she's the one that is mainly over this project, but I've been assisting her on a couple things here and there.
Is there anybody with you that actually sort of an engineer from the project, or?
Yes, my associate Edgar is here to answer any technical questions you guys
Excellent.
may have.
And Edgar's role is what?
Project administrator, sir.
Great to have you here. Thank you. Yep.
So to continue where I left off, currently some of the improvements that we've already made, we have worked on milling and resurfacing. We have widening to include an 8-foot shared use path, and we have updated signalization, lighting, and signage. The current goals of the project is to provide additional travel options for bicyclists. We want to enhance mobility and safety for pedestrians and everyone alike, and we want to increase accessibility and connections. Now, as I mentioned, some of the completed work that we've already finished is we have widened the road. We have completed paving, the sidewalk widening along Matanzas Pass. Sorry, that's a very difficult word to say. We have improved the drainage. We have included new sidewalks, a new median islands, and 3 bus bays have been constructed that will be worked on more, and Edgar will be able to answer more about those as we continue. Now, some of the upcoming work that we're either starting now or will be starting very soon is we'll be working on the lighting. We're going to be working on the signals for the 5th and Main Street and for San Carlos. We want to implement an intelligent transportation system, ITS. Also, Edgar will be able to explain more about that, I believe. And we will be improving the traffic railing along Matanzas Pass. I apologize.
Say, Josh, this is not advancing on the screen.
I was. There it is.
There we go.
Okay. I apologize for that, but this is, yes, where we are looking. And we are expecting to have the project completed by fall of 2025.
This might be a question for Edgar, but since we're on the signals, it's my understanding, at least throughout this process, that the San Carlos or Main Street light, the light at the base of the bridge on Fifth, the Crescent light, and the light that's Old San Carlos are all going to communicate together. They're all going to work in concert. You've got two of them listed up there. And I know that we have an interlocal agreement with the county. I don't know where we're at about getting the Old San Carlos light fixed, but Edgar, are you working with the county to coordinate getting that signal back online at the same time as the other ones?
You need to step to the
You
microphone.
gotta step, sorry. Introduce yourself.
How you doing? I'm Edgar Gonzalez, the project administrator for this project. So yes, once everything is completed, we are working with Lee County in order to get all the timing phases together so that it can work a lot smoother than what it's working now.
So you said when it's completed. So are you gonna complete your scope of work here and then start
And
working,
then-
or is?
And then we're working with Lee County to get the phasing down for all the signals on the project.
So is the county aware of your timeline as to when? I'm guessing you aren't under contract with the county to fix that light at Old San Carlos. Are they aware of your timeline? So that
I'm sorry.
it's old, so when you come down the bridge and you take a right,
Yes, sir.
that light right there hasn't worked since Ian,
Yes, no, that's out of our project limits. So that would be a Lee County question.
but that light is going to be in coordination to work together.
To work together with the new light signals that we're putting up. Yes, sir.
But it appears there hasn't been any conversation between FDOT and the county as to timing when you're going to be online with the two lights that you've got on the screen.
Not at this time, sir, because we got to complete our work.
Well, I'll fill in the commissioner later today about what is going on, because you probably don't know. This has been going on for a long time, but those four lights are supposed to work together, and we have an interlocal agreement with the county to be able to get that light operational at Old San Carlos. And I know it's going through the FEMA process to get the funding and all of that, but I think it's important that all four, when they go live, are working in concert at the same time, as opposed to. Yeah, go ahead. If you have more information, please come up.
But we're trying not to be in the middle of everything.
Yeah, hey, I gave you a warning.
No, respectfully, and we've talked about this offline a couple of times. I know Rob Price and FDOT speak weekly along with your team here, so we're in constant communication with them. If there's something that I can do to make sure this runs parallel and not after, timing wise, I'll make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure that happens.
No problem. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if you.
We want the same thing that you do.
Yeah.
I think they're two separate contracts, so he's answering the question specifically, but I think we're coordinating on all fronts.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, the conversations I've had with Dave Harner, they were working with engineers, I assumed FDOT engineers, but engineers to make sure everything's lifted up, to make it, resilient.
Right.
And we're waiting on FEMA money. That was the word that came from the county. So I have sent an email actually middle last week to Mr. Harner, so waiting for a response.
Okay, just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page. Continue on, Ethan.
Oh, thank you. But yes, the estimated project completion for this state road should be fall of 2025. We are still currently projecting that. Now, we do hold regular updates on our website and everything. So for anyone in the town that may be curious or may even be a little frustrated at some of the construction going on, they can visit our road watch at southwestfloridaroads.com/project 433-726-2. And this is the way that they can we do weekly updates just to break down what's going on. And if anything has happened, or if it seems kind of silent out there, what's really going on behind the scenes. You can also talk with our community outreach specialist that will be over this project, Caitlin Carmona, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but we have her hotline number up there as well, and her email, which is caitlin.carmona@dot.state.fl.us. That's a mouthful. And she'll be able to answer any questions that anyone has, and she can even get in touch with some of the project leaders in the team to answer any of those hard-hitting questions too.
Okay. Edgar, I maybe have another question for you. Now I see that you've torn up the concrete that was in those little medians across from Fifth there, and you've put the grass in. I thought it was always the big oval area center that is a retention pond now was going to be a level area that was going to have the plantings to keep people from trying to cut across there. I have concerns that it's going to be a severe safety risk having standing water, which we know is going to stand in that pond. We're already seeing people cut across there, not using the crosswalks. And the idea, at least in my recollection, was that that was going to be eventually landscaped, that was going to be maintained by Margaritaville to keep people from crossing there. Is that still the plan, or is it going to stay a retention pond?
The as far as the landscaping goes, that's a whole different contract that's going to be completed once we're done with our contract. But that's a whole different. It will be a whole different project.
Do you know who's got that contract, or who we could contact to see what the plans are for that center median?
I can research it for you, and I can get back to you. I can get with Caitlin, and she can let you know.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll research who has it and when it's going to start and everything. But that's a whole different contract after hours.
Okay. And I appreciate you sending the weekly updates from your meeting. It's been helpful.
Not a problem, sir.
Questions for Edgar or Ethan? John?
Real quick, I just got an update, the intersection for Old Town that's out for bid with the county right now.
Perfect. You working magic, Mr. Commissioner. Look at you.
That actually came from Amy. Sorry.
Behind the scenes here.
Yeah. John, questions for?
Well, I did send something to Caitlin so we could have a little more information on in this presentation. And I had asked her at the time, has FDOT given any thought to having 2 lanes of access on Matanzas Pass Bridge heading to Fort Myers Beach in the morning, likewise reversing it for leaving Fort Myers Beach in the afternoon? The theory behind that being it would help with the flow of traffic at peak times. Has that been discussed or thought about, or?
Caitlin did mention something about finding out more information about that due to, unfortunately, she wasn't able to be here. So she just wanted me to run the presentation for her that she was. However, she was in the middle of finding that out because I remember her mentioning something about that.
Okay.
So she can probably get that information back to you probably this week.
All right. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Good morning. Thanks for being here again. So let's go. There's a lot of folks in this room that live this every day and are very granular with this project, but there's a lot of folks that see the activity, but they don't really fully have the granular detail of what's going on. Let's from a 10,000 foot standpoint, prior to this project, when you approached Fort Myers Beach in a car, bike, or on foot, can you explain the difference from what they would have experienced originally to what they will now experience with this new project complete?
Well, from when I came in, when we started the project, Matanzas Pass Bridge was 1 lane coming in, 1 lane going out, because your second lane coming into the beach was dedicated bus lane only. So now you have 2 travel lanes coming in, but you still have 1 travel lane leaving the beach side. And the sidewalk on Matanzas Pass was widened from 5 feet to about 8 feet, so it makes it wider, easier for people to walk through, case bicycles, stuff like that. So it made it wider, made it easier for pedestrians, and now you have 2 through lanes coming across that bridge.
So when you're approaching the bridge, you now have 2 lanes to come over the bridge
Yes,
and
sir.
1 lane to exit.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you're on a bike or you're a pedestrian, you've got additional sidewalk space,
Yes, sir. It went from 5 feet to 8 feet, sir.
5 to 8 feet. And so then if you're on a bike prior to the project, could you ride your bike over the bridge?
No, because you have the signs that says walk.
Okay, that'll stay the same. You'll continue to walk your bike over the bridge.
Yes, sir. You just have more room for everybody to walk through on the bridge.
And so this concept of potentially switching lanes, like at the end of the day, so 2 lanes going off, 1 lane going on, just from an engineer's perspective, given the fact that you've been so involved in this, is that physically, is that possible in terms of the setup today and the way you've designed the project? Could we do that?
The setup today, I wouldn't know how to answer that for you at this time. I have to look into it further. I think I was working with Caitlin to try to get an answer for you, sir, when you sent the email. But when we strike, when it's all to its final configuration, you're only going to have the 2 lanes going in and the 1 lane coming out. So I would have to research more to see how you would be able to make that possible, to have 2 lanes leaving the beach side in the afternoon.
So as a transportation engineer, I mean, if you just put your kind of
I'm a project administrator. I'm not a transportation
Okay.
engineer. I just want to make that clear.
Fair enough, fair enough. But
That's great.
But we have a wonderful enforcement team. If Tom took his team over there and directed traffic to utilize that lane with human involvement in that dynamic, especially during season.
With human involvement, I can see how that would work. With just the finished configuration, I don't see how that would work.
But potentially, if we had a team,
potentially,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
sir, that could be something possible. That's what me and Caitlin was looking into to answer
And it
Mr.
will-
King's.
To approve such a dynamic, would that be a Fed or a state, county, or local, or all of the above decision to allow Tom and his team, maybe in conjunction with the sheriff's department, to set up a dynamic where we could open the valve at the end of the day so we could let folks off the island? Who would make that, who would have jurisdictional decision over that?
I would have to get back to you on that one and research that one, sir.
As not project engineer, but project manager, have you been on this project from the beginning?
Yes, sir. I've been project administrator from the beginning.
So you've seen it all,
Yes, sir.
and you've watched the traffic, you've watched all the challenges.
Yes, sir.
Having had that perspective, and you obviously came from the outside, so you didn't have any prejudices going in. Would you have done anything differently with this project?
No, sir, I wouldn't.
Okay. And if do you have any advice for the town going forward? Because when this was originally decided, we all had a lot of input into that. Some of it was taken, some of it was not. There's a lot of crosswalks going on. People are concerned about additional traffic congestion. One of the things that one of the lead engineers told me at the time, and he was being very candid, which I appreciated. He said, Jim, this is really not going to make much of a difference in terms of congestion during season, but off season, it'll allow traffic to flow a lot better. Is that a fair characterization, given what you've seen being on the front lines of it all?
Yes, sir. From what I see, it'll make it flow a lot better coming into the beach side. And also, even though you only have one lane leaving the beach side, I believe it'll make it a lot better with the final configuration, sir, from what I see.
Can you elaborate on why it will? I'm not disputing. I'm just trying to what's your expertise, why it will get better leaving the island after the project's done?
Because the way that they widen the area down on the beach side, I believe, like I said, I don't have experience from before, but from what I see, it'll make traffic flow a lot smoother with the way that they widen the road leaving the beach side, sir.
Do you, either one of you, do you envision a scenario where a pedestrian bridge somewhere in that vicinity could work and be helpful? And if so, where would you put it?
That I couldn't answer for you, so that would have to be an engineer to look into that and see how that would work, sir.
Anything else being on the front lines of this and seeing how traffic works in Fort Myers Beach? Any advice that you'd give us?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all I've got.
Maybe slow down coming onto the bridge so you stop Dale Earnharting your brand new concrete thing there. It's already got the donut stripes across it. Karen, questions?
I have a question. How long is that right-hand turn on Fifth Street right at the base of the bridge? How long is that road? Is it going to be closed? Because there a lot of people they think they can turn there and then they end up doing a U-turn.
Where exactly?
Exiting the island, you can take a right
When you exit the island,
Yes, sir.
there's Fifth Street right there.
It's a left on the fifth.
Right now, you can't go right
Oh, right on the fifth.
toward Margaritaville. It's well,
Go back one more.
right. This is closed right now.
Yes, sir. Yes,
How
sir.
long is it going to be closed, or why? I guess two questions: why is it closed, and how long is it going to be closed? Because what's happening is people don't realize this is closed. They're coming up here and doing an illegal U-turn. I mean,
Yes, sir. I will look into the schedule regarding when we'll be able to have that road open. I believe it was closed because of the paving and everything that was going on. Then they had to fix some valves, which just got fixed last week. So I will look into it and I'll get back to you and see when that will be open. I got to check the plans to see if we got striping that has to be done, and that's probably one of the reasons that it's not open yet.
okay. And my other question: the alternating light up on Buttonwood.
Yes, sir.
Since you're going to have two lanes going onto the beach, is that no longer ever going to be alternating?
That sign for our contract is no longer alternated since we have two lanes going up the bridge now.
Okay.
And then we have the signal going up on Main Street, I believe, right at the base of the bridge.
Okay, thank you.
The only question I have, Edgar, is can you pull that picture back up? The lights, that turn where you can go left onto Fifth Street or go into Times Square, I'm assuming that's closed because there's no light to direct the traffic there at this point. So, Rick, can you point to it, Scott, right in the middle where you're going to turn left? Nope,
No,
down,
down there.
up,
Right
right there. That
Yeah.
little through right there. That's closed currently
That's
because
closed because of the signal. sir.
the signals are. When is the time frame for the signals going on?
the signal, we're currently working in that area now with the signals. We're looking at sometime during the summer to
Okay.
open everything up in that area. But that's the reason
That whole,
that turn lane is.
and then I'm guessing the U-turn to get off
Yes, sir.
is the same reason.
Yes, sir.
All right. So
Ethan, real quick, if you look at some of these pictures, and I'm hoping Nicole will be able to post this on her website, because there's some really interesting pictures here that give people an idea of how you guys are going to channel traffic. And it's rather complex, particularly if you're from out of town. And given the fact that a lot of our people are from out of town, there'll be a lot of confusion. And is there an education program as part of your contract to help folks better understand the dynamics of this rather complex solution?
It definitely can get complex. That's one of the, if you look here in our regular updates website that I posted there, not only does it give you updates on what's going on the road, but it does break down the project and what's happening and all the nitty gritty aspects of it. So I think for education wise, if people use that, that might be their best. And also calling the community outreach specialist, Caitlin, she can also go into more detail too on any questions. They may
But
have.
we've got somebody driving down from Wisconsin, and they're not going to be able to channel this granular work. In other words, will there be some simplistic education guides to let people understand where they go and how they do it? Because it's rather complex. I just think there's going to be a really important communication piece to this, particularly for those who are visiting Fort Myers Beach. And quite honestly, even those who are visiting, who may live here, they're experiencing this for the first time.
Yes.
It has potential, but if there's not a good education campaign, we're going to have some real challenges, particularly with people experiencing it. Is there anything in the contract or in the plan that helps to communicate how best to utilize this new system?
Well, Ethan, if I can just jump in, I think I might be able to help out a little bit with this. You maybe haven't been involved, but if I remember correctly, back when the charrette was going on, they had an automation up there that actually showed the traffic flow with cars and arrows. If we could get that back, that we could share through our social media, it actually shows cars and it showed arrows and how the traffic flow would go, as opposed to just to your point, a granular piece of paper that doesn't necessarily show anything. If we could get a copy of that, we could push it out through our social media channels as well.
I'll talk to Caitlin right after this presentation and I'll see if she can send it over to you guys and
Yeah, I
any
can't-
other ideas she
I
has.
can't tell you how important that would be, what the mayor just talked about, because you need to see even that picture that you have. It's really one of the first times I've seen that picture. If that gets out there, that would really help educate people, particularly in the format that the mayor discussed, because to read some sort of a granular details of the project versus see how the traffic flows with actual images
Yes.
from a communication standpoint, that's going to be night and day. So as a communication specialist, I encourage you guys to think about how to message this in a way that's accessible and easy for folks, particularly if they're just visiting here and even quite frankly, those in Lee County and those who live on Fort Myers Beach, because once, folks will be following us. And if we don't know what we're doing, then it's even going to create even more challenges. So, but I do think that education piece, because it is different and it is complex, but it has potential. But if we don't communicate that, it's going to create some real challenges. So as a communications team, really encourage you, instead of some very granular written document, to have some videos and sort of action item things that people can see and experience
Yes.
visually that would really be helpful.
Yes, I will be talking to Caitlin after the presentation. I think she can get something together for you guys.
Great.
All right. Thanks, Ethan, Edgar. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck getting off the island. You guys need.
Wow.
I didn't mean it that way.
Were they late because they were stuck in traffic?
There's some traffic out there. There might be some traffic.
Boy, that's probably the greatest timing, but that's all right. That brings us to our approval of the approval of the minutes. We have April 7th, 2025, and then the management planning session from April 9th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All right, got a motion by Counselor King,
Second.
second by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Next is consent agenda. We have no items on that, so there's nothing to remove from the consent agenda. Next is our public hearing. The first one is a request for a reduction and forgiveness of code enforcement lien fine for property located at 8124 Estero Boulevard, Fort Myers Beach, Florida, by Dennis Prock, represented by attorney Noel Davis.
As I mentioned,
Davies.
Council,
Davies, sorry.
earlier, we would be requesting a continuance of this item to the May 5th. It is May 5th, not May
Bless
5th.
Yes.
Okay. Meeting, because we think we may have a alternative resolution of this issue. I would invite the attorney to give you a little bit more background about his client and why this is here.
Sure, good morning. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity. For the record, Noel Davies with the law firm of Davies Duke on behalf of the property owner. I think Nancy and I, in working with my client and town staff, I think we've got this worked out. So rather than going through all of it for you today, hopefully we can just come back on May 5th and report that it's been worked out. But I think that's all I've got. I'm happy to answer questions about it.
Okay, John, any questions for Noel?
I have none.
Vice Mayor? No. Councilor Woodson?
No.
Councilor Safford?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to continue to May 5th, date certain of May 5th?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Woodson, seconded by Councilor King. Any further discussion? Councilor Woodson?
Aye.
Councilor King?
Aye.
Vice Mayor? Aye. Councilor Safford?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next is item B. It is an administrative appeal of building permit number 242333 and 234477, construction of a swimming pool. Appellant Himmelstein Associates LLC, property owner Todd R. Plasted, property address of 21391 Widgeon Terrace.
If I may, council members, unfortunately, a couple items have been omitted from your agenda materials. For instance, on page 68, there's reference to an approval letter, which I have here. It probably didn't make a lot of sense to you as you were going through the materials, because in this particular case, there was a permit that was issued, it was revoked, there was an appeal of that permit, then there was a second appeal, and then yet there's another appeal. And the final appeal, that material didn't make it into your record as well. So I do have some concerns about the adequacy of the record. There are several parties that are here today, I believe, in preparation for it. However, this is an appeal of your building official decision, and unfortunately, he is not able to be here today. We do have other staff members that could provide information, but you know, it is his final decision as far as issuance of the building permit. So it would be, I think, prudent to go ahead and have him physically here to answer questions and cross-examination as needed.
I would tend to agree with you, but
Could we see who's here,
Yes.
perhaps representing the parties?
come on up.
I'm here for the plat. Robert Baran, attorney for the plats. Okay.
Okay.
Please sit with
Please.
I don't see the applicant here, so I'm
Yeah,
going to move to dismiss.
I am concerned with that as well. Mr. Himmelstein does not appear to be present, nor his attorney. And this is their appeal. So again, that's another reason to suggest that a continuance would be appropriate. Any evidence that we put on today, they would have to review. Again, we would want to make sure that they have the opportunity to cross-examine any evidence that's presented to you. So I think a continuance would probably be the best strategy for you at this point, or my recommendation.
Did we discuss this before, though? The appeal is untimely and it's to the wrong body. So why would we continue this? Why not dismiss it and let them take the next step? If they're not here, number one. Number two, the appeal is untimely. It's outside the 30 days. And number three, it was made to the council, and it's my understanding that it should have been made to the magistrate. Is that correct?
That is correct. However, council has not had the opportunity to review supporting documents regarding that representation.
Would it be appropriate to do it now? We've got time.
Well,
Looks
I'm
like
having them, so I do have copies of the approval letter. However, they are printing the actual appeal, which is 154 pages, and then there's an additional appendix to that.
But it's the time that we're talking about. It was untimely, correct? It was outside the 30 days. And it
And
was
again,
made
I
to
don't want to get into a
Right.
discussion of the substantive arguments regarding procedural issues or substantive issues, because the appellant is not present to provide their input. And again, in the interest of fairness, we want both parties to be
Well,
present.
Let's talk about that first one. What, have we heard any reason why they're not here?
Yeah, I find it very disturbing. If it's their case and they don't show up, why
Right.
we would need to continue this.
Right. It needs to be just.
Well, it sounds, how about we ask the council? Because to me, I've just heard two people that are not comfortable with, they haven't voted, but just in their comments, it sounds like they're not comfortable with. So do you mind if I ask the council what they would like to do? Are you?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
I mean,
John?
I think I stated what I mean.
Yeah,
It's their appeal. They're not here. Why should we continue to support something if they don't, and didn't bother to let anybody know that they weren't going to be here today?
Vice Mayor?
All I can say is that our town attorney has recommended that this be continued, and I just would have, I feel like I should support the recommendation of the town attorney.
Well, okay. Karen?
I mean, the people who are representing the homeowner, and they've gone to a lot of trouble and a lot of work, I'm sure, to be here today. I personally agree with you that it should be dismissed.
Councilor Stafford?
I'm leaning that direction myself. I don't understand why they're not here, or at least
A representative.
a representative at least tell us they're not showing, and it's very odd.
So Nancy, based on what you've heard, do you have any angst with a recommendation for dismissal?
well,
or
if there's a mix-up in the communication lines,
How can there be a mix-up? It's public posted. I mean,
Yeah, it's been posted for a week.
And they
Is
can
that
also
true?
request relief from that if it's appropriate.
I just
Madam
wanted,
Clerk everything's been posted properly, correct?
Yes, it has been.
so again, Nancy, I'll state my question again. If there were a recommendation for dismissal, what would be the next steps as far as the town is concerned?
well, as always, my concern is the record. In the event that you do choose to dismiss it, in all likelihood, I would posture that there most likely would be an appeal. And so the basis of your appeal is we would need a reason for it, which should be stated on the record as well.
Well, I mean, they haven't given me any confidence that they would show up for that appeal, even if they chose to do it. They're not here for this one.
Okay.
So, all right, I think we know which direction this is going to go. Would you like to someone like to make a motion?
I move that we dismiss the administrative appeal of building permit number 242333 234477, construction of swimming pool.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilor King, seconded by Councilor Woodson.
May I ask before the vote? There is some materials in your packet. Specifically, there is reference to our response, the town's response. We find that it is untimely, that the appeal is untimely for purposes of the fact that if you recall, your review process did change. Last fall, we went from having building appeals heard by the Lee County Board of Adjustments. We then vested that authority in the special magistrate. And this appeal was filed before you as an administrative appeal. And the proper forum would be the special magistrate. And that is stated in the town's response to the appeal that is in your materials. The second reason we believe that this item should be denied is the fact that it appears that their argument is intended to encompass a limited common area, or as they've characterized it in other spots, common area that's owned by everyone. However, looking at the declaration of condominium, a copy of which is in your record, it appears that the property owner would have the right. There's no prohibition against using that area for purposes of calculating impervious area. And speaking with staff in preparation for this meeting, not the building official, but our planning staff, and I believe the surveyor has also been involved. They are here today, and they can provide testimony to you that the calculations do not even include that particular area. I do have a copy of the approval letter that I have copies available if you would like to take those. And this goes back to the issue of the timeliness of the filing. The approval letter has November 15th, 2024 date on it. The appeal was filed, I believe, in December. And by December, your review process for these matters was transferred to your special magistrate rather than coming to you as an appeal, as an administrative appeal, which would be an appeal of a decision by the town manager or any of his administrative staff. That's a different process. I just wanted to put that on the record and acknowledge that you do have some agenda materials that I'm assuming you have reviewed, because I did get some questions.
May I also comment on that? This case came before you, and I have the transcript here. You approved it. We discussed these same issues at that council meeting. You listened to him then. You heard him, and you denied him. He filed a petition for writ of certiorari in the circuit court. Both the city and myself have responded to that petition. The reason I bring this up is in the law, there's something called res judicata. You can't keep arguing the same issues over and over again. He chose his path. His path was to go to the circuit court on these very issues that were discussed at the council meeting. Therefore, he has no say at this point. He's put his marbles into that basket, and we're waiting for a decision from the judge on that. So it would be kind of silly to have you hear this in its entirety, spend all your time on it again, and then have the circuit court do something different. So I think you're kind of bound by the path that he chose for you to go down the writ of certiorari path. So for those reasons, in addition to what the town expertly concluded, I would ask you to dismiss the appeal. He can take his procedural rights after that if he wants to come back here and argue that the dismissal should be set aside, but I think it's too late. I think it's over, it's untimely, and it's res judicata with the circuit court case. Thank you.
So then I have a question. So then would it be dismissed with prejudice so that he would not be able to come back?
I think
I think it's a denial of his appeal and not necessarily a dismissal.
Okay, so denial.
So
the
then I need to
arguments-
change the
Right.
wording of my motion from a dismissal to a denial.
Yeah.
Denial.
Yeah, you're denying his appeal. Again, it's unfortunate, and I don't know if there's some miscommunication as far as his inability to appear today, but it may come back to you so he can make his arguments. You did have in your packet, just for the record, arguments that were made by a former attorney in the renewed appeal. So again, there was a building permit that was issued. There was an appeal. That building permit was revoked, and a subsequent permit was issued. And then there was a renewed appeal of that subsequent permit. And then the actual approval letter was not distributed until November.
Okay. Counselor King, would you like to amend your wording to deny versus dismiss?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
And your second?
And I will amend my second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Vice Mayor Holt? No. Counselor Safford?
Aye.
No, discussion. Discussion.
No.
Any more discussion?
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Counselor King?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Holt?
No.
And I'm an aye. That motion carries 4-1.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Next is our administrative agenda. The first one on the agenda is approve an amendment to the town manager's contract, extending the term for an additional 30-day periods as needed with a $1,000 pay adjustment for each 30-day period extension.
I thought it was for 3 years.
At $1,000 a month? Oh.
Yeah, okay, wait a minute. I
Only
didn't know
joking.
that. We need a timeout. I need a sidebar.
Any discussion?
Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
we all know the contract expires the 30th, next Wednesday. Given how we don't, it does not look like that Mr. McInerney will be here on the 1st. And there would probably need to be a couple of weeks that you need either a town manager or interim town manager. So I just thought, in discussions with Karen and after following up with the last council meeting, the direction given was to bring this back to you. I'm willing to do that. And then as we get into it and the conversations I had with Mr. McInerney on Saturday, we will decide, if we want to come back again to extend. I'm not sure we would need to do that, but it makes it available should we need to do that.
And then just for clarity, Karen, please tell me if I'm not reading it correctly. Essentially, you're going to continue on as we are. This is just an additional $1,000 on top of
Correct.
what your
Correct.
current salary is, right?
Correct. Same
Just-
benefits, same everything, just an additional $1,000 for,
Okay.
And it's for 1 month, right?
Periods of 1 month. It could
Yeah.
go longer.
it's 30 days to begin with, but with the option for another 30 days if
We would
need
come
be.
back each time.
The
Mhm.
second meeting of every month,
Mhm.
it may would
Should
come
it need to
back,
be-
should we need to.
Should we need to?
Or with an update of what's going to be happening, May 31st.
Very good. Any other questions? I will move to approve the amended contract for the town manager for periods of 30 days and an additional pay of $1,000 per 30 days.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Mary Aller, seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? I'm an aye. Counselor
Aye.
Woodson, Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Otto?
Aye.
And Counselor King?
All right.
All right, motion carries unanimously.
Nice try.
Next is Resolution 25-125, ratification of task order 3 and 4 for CDBG DR administration. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, to ratify and approve task orders 3 and 4 with title basin for CDBG DR grant administration services in the amount of $163,864.57 and $291,785.90 and providing for an effective date. Frankie?
But basically what this is everyone is familiar with the CDBGR process that we've gone through for our North Water Tower, our community pool, and for Newton Park. These funds are already built into those when we apply for those. Tidal Basin is not just the Tidal Basin that does our PA work, our stuff on our side to get things to FEMA. They also represent Project Management Group, and that's the part of Tidal Basin that's going to be engaged here. So we built them into the project. Actually, the county, you have to have a project management team looking out for you to handle these funds, and that's what they'll be doing. They'll be doing the day-to-day reporting, the invoicing, those type of things, and sending it along to basically HUD through the county. So it's not coming out of the town coffers one bit. This is all built into the grant itself.
Questions for Frankie? Scott?
That was my question, where the money was coming from.
I have no questions.
Vice Mayor?
No.
Counselor King?
So I guess I want to make sure I'm clear that the 163,000 and the 291,000 are not coming out of the town budget?
That is correct, sir. So they're already allocated. You have to have a certain percentage of project management cost built into your overall application.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So it's not a replenishment of funds expended from the general fund. It comes directly from
It
the
comes
CDBG
directly
fund.
through the CDBGR funds that were granted to the town.
It's a
So
federal
that's not-
requirement from the grant.
Right.
That you do it that way.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion for resolution 25-125?
So moved.
124, isn't it?
124.
Mine says 125 on my
It says
sheet.
125.
Mine says NS 25-124.
Yeah. Amy, are we 124 or 125? On my sheet, it says
Give me a
125.
moment. I'll find out for you.
And here it says 124.
On my online
Yeah,
packet, it says 125.
25-124 on,
Inside that, yeah, inside. the
Inside here.
actual-
yeah.
Give me a moment. I'll find out for you. Just a second. 124.
So it's 124, not 125.
Mhm.
Do I need to reread the title with the correct number?
I don't think it was in the
I think
title.
it's-
I read it in
You
as
read
part
it.
of the
Oh, did you?
title.
Yeah.
No, I think it's explanatory
Okay.
based on the minutes and the,
All right. Then is there a motion for resolution 25-124 to ratify the task orders 3 and 4 for CDBG DR administration funding?
So moved.
Motion by Counselor King, seconded by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? Counselor King,
Aye.
Counselor Safford,
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. Final public comment.
I have one,
Mr.
One more item.
Oh, we got one?
one more item.
I'm
No, no.
sorry. We do have a town attorney item, which is a resolution. If maybe we could handle that before public comments. So if there's any public that wants to
Oh,
talk about
okay.
it.
Then let's jump to town attorney. We'll proceed out of order and go to
You got
town
it.
attorney items. And then we'll go back. Sorry. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay,
You want me
the
to read this?
resolution title,
Okay.
I'll go ahead and read it.
Perfect.
It's a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, providing notice of the town's intent to initiate the process of creating a community redevelopment agency, directing the town staff to initiate a study to determine whether conditions exist to support the creation of a community redevelopment agency in the Times Square area, and providing for an effective date. So this resolution is simply a follow-up to a discussion that town council had at its May 13th management and planning meeting. And at this time, we were notified that there was some legislation going through the Florida legislature that would have prohibited the creation of a CRA after July 1st of this year. So the purpose of the resolution is to go ahead and put on record that the town has begun to roll that ball down the alley by looking for a consultant to perform the study. Whether or not we're able to complete the study before the July 1st deadline is questionable. However, by the resolution, you do provide notice that you are interested in perhaps pursuing that policy initiative. And I would defer to Sarah if you have anything to add. I know that staff has worked with other communities, local communities, finding out how they have been able to handle their redevelopment efforts. And I don't know what the status is of actually finding a consultant to do that study.
I wanted to just share, and I passed that along to staff, and hopefully, Scott, you got the copy that I asked them to send you, since this has been your issue. The Florida League of Cities has been lobbying on this, and as of this afternoon, the Senate is hearing an update on key changes in the amendment, and one of them is to remove the ban on creating new CRAs.
Yes. Yes, I do get that email. That's good news.
And we have.
I want to do, if there is the deadline, then we need to do it. But if there's not the deadline, then I think we need to do it right and not rush it, but get it done, but make sure all our T's are crossed and I's are dotted.
I think this is a proper step to make sure that the intent is out there, no matter which way it goes.
Yeah.
Whether they vote one way or the other, our intent is to move forward.
Yes.
So just a question, Nancy. This in essence reserves our right to execute a CRA given a legislative action?
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but
so.
we're doing it in an abundance of caution.
I don't see any harm in that. Yep, very good. I'm just trying to understand. There's no guarantees, obviously.
Correct.
Yep, okay, very good.
And we have let Mr. Book know of our intentions as well. Who
Correct.
Is passing that information on to the legislature. All right, is there a motion to approve or any more discussion on resolution 5-123? Correct number?
Yes.
Double check. Okay. Go ahead.
So moved.
All right. Got a motion by Counselor Woodson. I'll second it. Any further discussion? Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
Counselor King?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Since we're on town manager or town attorney items,
No other items.
do you want to touch on what Mr. Bowen brought up as far as St. Peter's Drive?
Yes, I learned for the first time that there may be some controversy or disagreement as far as facts. Who actually owns this road? If there has been continuous maintenance and repair, it would be an indication that the town at one point believed that maybe it was a public road, because clearly the town wouldn't go and expend public funds on a private road. So I believe that does require some additional research to figure out, is it really a public road or a private road? And that makes a big difference. As far as the method of obtaining it, clarifying the title to the roadway area, that could be done through a quitclaim deed. That part of the process is not difficult. Going through the records of the town to figure out what the town thought in the past might be a little bit more challenging.
Do you need a motion from the council? It appears as though the residents in that street would like the town to make it a town right away, at least in what Mr. Bowen said in his public comments. Is that
Just direction to follow up
follow up?
and
Mr. Mayor,
report back.
I would ask for unanimous consent to proceed out of order to let Mr. Bone come up and
Sure.
I have no problem. Anyone else have a problem?
address Nancy's.
Okay.
Yes, it's the association's desire to see if the town council is willing to accept it, the road and the right of way. That was at our HOA meeting. That was a resolution that was approved.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion that the council consents to allowing our town attorney to work with Mr. Bowen. You are president of the neighborhood association, is that correct?
Yes.
To work directly with Mr. Bowen to see if they can come to some resolution and then bring it before the council at the appropriate time.
I will second that motion. Any further discussion?
Isn't there I don't know what the legal term is, maybe one or two of you, but if the town for years and years and years has
A prescriptive easement,
Yeah.
I think is what
Yeah,
you're
prescriptive
thinking
easement.
about. But there is a statutory section that I do need to go back and review that specifically talks about the maintenance of a roadway, which
Yeah,
is a little bit more
I had that with a
beyond.
neighbor one time. We had a dispute over our property line, and we, for years and years and years, we were taking care of it. So eventually it just
Became your-
Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion? Do you need a roll call vote, or
I think consent would be fine for me. Yeah.
so you don't need a motion? We
No,
already
by
did a motion.
consensus. Is there a consensus?
I made a-
Just
I
call
made-
the
I
vote.
made a
Just
motion.
call the vote.
I made a
Okay.
motion that we
That's right.
consented. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Vice Mayor Adderall?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Council King?
Aye.
Council Woodson?
Aye.
And Council Safford?
Aye.
Motion carried. unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, now we'll go back to public comment.
Edward.
Edward. I would have figured that out by all the people sitting here.
Pure genius right there.
Good morning, everyone. Ed Root, 8150 Estero Boulevard. I came today to clarify a couple of issues. I've gotten a lot of telephone calls. I've been contacted by a lot of people this last couple of weeks since this controversy came up with Anita and the Protect FMB lawsuit. And I don't want to elaborate on that. The gentleman earlier tried to explain it wasn't a lawsuit. We all know it is a lawsuit. I was involved in one myself at one time. There's a defendant and a plaintiff, and it ends up going before a judge. That's a lawsuit. Anyway, but that being said, I wanted to make sure that everyone understands I am not against Protect FMB. I am not adversarial to what their purpose is. There are many places on this island that developers are going to try to, for lack of a better explanation, put square pegs in round holes. There are places that these developments are not going to fit, but there are many, many places where these larger developments do fit. And when they go through the correct process, it is not something that's hard to understand. The comp plan, the LDC, they have guidelines, but if you try to get outside of those, that's why the town has provisions for variances and special exceptions, which people are aware of, and that's what they go through to get their projects approved. I have full confidence in the council that they're going to decide, make the correct decisions of what pegs fit what holes. And I think that the Protect FMB they're a good, they lobby for what they believe in. And I'm all for that. And there'll be times when I'm in agreement with them. I am not in agreement with them filing a lawsuit against the town. The controversy has come up because we have a appointed person that donated money to a lawsuit that's suing the town. I'm not in agreement with that. And the Protect FMB, they can lobby one way or the other. Their presence can be known here. They can put their arguments forward, and y'all listen to them, and y'all make the decision. And they should accept the decision in the end. What I was going to ask, through all the telephone conversations and some in-person conversations and questions, there's a lot of confusion about the explanation that Nancy had given you 2 weeks ago. And I've been asked questions that I can't answer. I'm not an attorney, but there has been a couple of other opinions that have been written on the ordinance 2-96, and they seem to conflict with Nancy's opinion. And I also had a conversation with the attorney.
It sounds like you got a question. So
I would like, if it's possible, for the attorney publicly to address this discrepancy in these other legal opinions and her opinion, and explain to the council why she feels the way that she does and what the purpose is.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Town manager items.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this week, once Councilor Woodson and the town attorney have their conversation with the designated town manager, we will need to have a special meeting to be able to ratify the contract or deny, but I'm sure they'll be in touch with you about negotiations. So just keep that in the back of your mind. There's also, we have, as part of our strategic plan, we have a resident survey that's online now.
It'll be released.
Released tomorrow. There's a QR code. They can scan it and all the questions will come up, and we just encourage everybody to participate.
All right. All right. Council member items and report. Councilor Safford?
Want to bounce this off you guys. I was in town hall last week. I forgot which day it was, but I ended up spending about an hour just talking to people out in the lobby. And a thought occurred to me that maybe when we move into the new building, that we have office hours, not all day long, but maybe one day a week for a couple hours that people can come in and talk to us.
I mean, council member office hours.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm always open and available to meet.
Yeah.
someone.
I mean, I am too, but it just, when people are here, they can just pop in and ask a counselor a question, because a lot of people, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So, and there's a lot of questions, and people, they sometimes email us, but if face to face is so much better than email.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm sure we could work with Councilor Woodson. How do you feel about it? I don't have any issues with it.
Yeah, I don't have any issues. I mean, a lot of times when we get requests to come and meet with someone or to see someone, it's usually like right before something comes to us, and can't always, accommodate that. So if there were set hours for each one of us to do that, and they know if they have a question or a concern or whatever they want to talk about, if they know that we're in the office during that time, they can certainly come in, have it published or whatever the schedule is.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'd have to chew on that. I mean, I think the new town hall is going to give us tremendous opportunities that are challenging right now to try to meet with constituents. We have a lot of folks who want to meet. Sometimes they'll want to have lunch or coffee. And I try to do it here at town hall, because you have kind of a nice neutral location. You don't have to worry about coffee or lunch or perception. And it's very transparent. I be interested in Andy's thoughts, as having sort of been the designer of the new town hall. I think we're going to have a lot more opportunities in the new town hall to be available to the public and have meeting space with the public. I think it would be really helpful too to have a place where counselors could meet with constituents and know that space will be available, or at least reserve it. Because I get a lot of people who reach out and want to meet, and we meet, but we end up meeting either at town hall in awkward locations, and and to have a place where we could all gather and have time and just an appropriate location. I've been in the constituent business for a long, long time, and to have a place to sit and talk to your constituents where they can be heard and there's not people interrupting and there's not people walking through, it would be great. So I don't disagree with the concept. I have seen in a situation, particularly in the summer, if you had hours, there's just not a lot of folks around. It's quieter. I find the current system works pretty well, and we interact via email and meetings and phone calls and Zoom calls pretty well. But the challenge, of course, is having the place and location and privacy to meet with people. And I think the new town hall will solve a lot of that. But I'm open to any concepts.
Councilor King?
Yeah, I think the vice mayor said it a lot for me. Obviously, some of the meetings have been in this room and you've got a lot of pass through. I don't envision that in the new town hall. And sitting back in that little closet with 3 people can be a little tight. I'm not opposed to it though.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to listening to it. The challenge becomes this: when you have a set time, now you've got to build, you have a business just like I do. And, during season, it can be challenging to have that specific time, especially in the businesses that we're in, that, if you're not there, God forbid you're not there for whatever reason. We had an issue last night we had to deal with that came up out of nowhere, which would have required me to be at that. And that's the only hesitation I have. But I always have an open door policy. If somebody needs me, I try to accommodate.
To your point, Mr. Mayor, when a constituent calls, I think, again, everybody, I've got I'm still working full time as well. To be able to work with a constituent to find a mutually convenient time for them and for us, it really works pretty well. Again, just don't have the place to meet them.
Yeah.
And that
But now
hopefully
we
will be
will.
solved. And now we will.
Yeah.
So
If I may,
I'm open.
if I may, we have a designated area that's probably about this size for the council. It's totally designated for the council. It's like a conference room. Also, there's a larger conference room for larger groups that's still right there. Donna will be setting up the schedule for those. So we'll have that, my plan, have that structure in place. Also, we'll have someone from Tom's staff will be in the building probably till 8 o'clock at night. So we'll have that option as well. And there's cameras everywhere. So it's a very safe location, a very safe place for people to meet, a little more neutral, if you will, and not meeting in the middle of the daytime when staff's moving around and only whatever might happen.
And just thinking through it, I mean, the challenge is if the constituent says, "Oh, your office hours are from 2 to 4 on Wednesday," I can't do Wednesdays.
Right.
I can do Tuesdays, and then you end up having that, those meetings. Having the ability to work with the constituent at a time that's mutually convenient for them and for us, given everybody's, this is a part-time job, everybody works full-time or they're retired, whatever, but we want to be able to accommodate people who are still working. But I also think it's most important to accommodate the schedule of the constituent, that those office hours may not be consistent with when it's convenient for them to meet or talk. So having that flexibility, but having that new meeting space would be, I think, potentially a solution. But maybe we try that. If it doesn't work, then we could try something different.
And as I go through in my mind, there's at least 5 areas that are either conference related or a testing space. There's an area in human resources. There's 3 conference rooms basically on the 3rd floor and then 1 downstairs. So there's 5. If for some reason you all needed a space at the same time, it's available.
Second, anything else?
No.
Councilor Woodson?
Couple of things. So town attorney and I are meeting after this meeting to discuss the upcoming contract for Will McKinney. Are you going to be in that as well, Talissa, or is that just with us? I don't know exactly how.
Whatever.
Okay.
Your pleasure.
Okay. And then we will be able, I hope, to get this done quickly because we obviously want to get back to Mr. McKinney and make sure that we keep this moving. You mentioned a separate meeting. Were you envisioning that this week, I hope?
I would imagine as quickly as that could get accomplished and you have
Right.
something to present to the council. Yes.
Okay, because I am out of town on Friday, but I would like to have it done either way before that if
What-
possible.
Amy, what's the schedule look like? Probably Wednesday or Thursday.
We'll start with Nancy first.
Yeah, true.
Advertising, is there advertising requirements for something like this?
Basically, 48 hours, 2 days is like the starting point, but based on, the subject matter itself. 2 days, 48 hours, I think should be enough. 2 days.
Well, that's gonna cut this week pretty close. I just wanted.
Yeah, my
Especially
other
if you're not gonna be here on
question would be that Will had indicated to me that he was going to send some bullet points of things that he was interested in, and I have not seen that. And that would be something that we would roll into the agreement as well.
Lisa hadn't seen anything either.
Well,
Okay.
I would be open to having a special meeting
As soon as
as
possible.
soon as possible, as long
Okay.
as all parties have gotten to the point where it's ready to be presented. I don't want to rush this.
Correct.
Right.
For anybody's sake, just for the sake of getting it done by the end of the week.
Mhm.
And Chambers is available every morning this week. I imagine it would be a morning meeting.
I've got something going on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't think this week is gonna, it's,
Not this week,
I would say this week is gonna be
next
pretty
week.
tight.
Yeah, and then
I would say that,
I leave. I'm going out of town next weekend, so I'm leaving Thursday.
so we'll shoot for the first part of next week.
The 8th. That,
No, I'm going to be gone from the 1st to the 4th.
oh, no, the 1st. That's right. Next week's the 1st.
So we have LPA in here on the 29th, special magistrate in here on the 30th.
So Monday, the 28th.
Well, it could be an afternoon meeting.
It
couldn't
could be in the afternoon. We have AAC here in the morning, but we can,
The magistrate hearing will be very short. It will basically be the item that you had today. The lien reduction issue. We'll be discussing that with her.
Anyone else? I don't have any scheduling conflicts. It looks like next week.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I have cardiac rehab at 2:00 in Benita.
And I have an appointment at noon in North Cape Coral on Wednesday, the 30th.
How about we do this? You guys get through your meeting today.
Okay.
See if you're even close enough to get us on the agenda for the next, and then let us know. And it seems to work when Dr. Kohler reaches out and says, these are the times available.
Mhm.
It allows you the 48 hours you need to.
Sure. And I think there's also a potential mediation on the 1st with the Florida League of Cities on in Tampa on the 1st. So the 1st seems to be occupied as well.
And again, worst case scenario, we always have the fallback of the next town meeting on the 5th of May. Again,
Correct.
ideally, it'd be nice to do it before then, but if we can't, that's there.
Good point.
We have the direction, I think.
Yes, thank you.
What else you got?
So I would just like to address what Eddie Rude brought up, because we did get those letters from different attorneys that came from one of our constituents. And I guess I want to understand why are there differences of opinions here? Because again, if I read what our ordinance says, that we have the right, council has the right to remove anyone for any reason, period.
So I'm happy to address that. On its face, the wording of the ordinance that you have, I would agree with you that that is what it says. But when you take that and you apply it to an individual and you are arguably curtailing their constitutional rights, then that is a different analysis. And that's where I think it becomes problematic.
But I don't think it's a constitutional right if you just don't believe in someone anymore, or you just have.
But the reason that has been said publicly numerous times that the concern is the freedom of speech as far as views on a particular project and the association with a particular entity. The other letter that you received talks about defining some terms that are in Florida statutes in the Code of Ethics. you would have to make a finding that, participating, associating with a particular group is malfeasance, or donating is malfeasance. And again, the concern is that you are curtailing constitutional rights. The last email that I saw appears to analogize the town council to our current federal structure. You do have policy-making decisions, you make executive decisions, and you make quasi-judicial decisions. So you do wear many more hats than certain branches of our federal system does. But still, it does raise some potential legal concerns. You put yourselves at risk. Would there be a lawsuit? I have no idea. But it's my job just to advise you that there is a legal risk should you proceed in that fashion.
So is this something that potentially when we look at how we outline the duties of the LPA or the audit committee, or, I wouldn't go as far as say any advisory committee, but I certainly would say the LPA and the audit committee, that maybe we put some parameters in our qualifications and around those things for future?
So I think what you're asking is if you're basically asking individuals who want to serve on these committees to give up some of their constitutional rights in exchange for service on this committee. So if I am going to be appointed to one of your committees, I can no longer associate with certain groups that I have associated with for years. I can't do certain things. Your qualifications for services on these committees should not go down that particular path.
For what it's worth, I would certainly never support something that would ask someone to give up a constitutional right.
No, not a constitutional right, but I do believe that there's ethical process in question.
Perhaps moral. I think we've had that conversation.
Yeah.
There's the legal thing, there's the moral thing, and then what you do.
Well, I think we've all certainly seen those emails. And one thing I've learned, you can ask 10 lawyers for an opinion on something, you're going to get 10 different opinions. Our job, I think, at least in my opinion, we have an attorney that has expressed to us that she has concerns over things. And I feel that she's given us the answers that we need to move forward or not move forward. And I think to me, this is an issue that doesn't need to go any further, but this is your council member item. So we'll follow whatever suggestion you would like to bring
No,
forward.
I was just asking questions.
Okay.
Just to understand, because I wasn't understanding. All good.
Got it now? Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
No.
For you? Okay.
Sorry.
I was waiting for you.
I was
Vice
looking
Mayor
at
Allen?
Nancy.
Nothing today.
Councilor King.
I've got a couple things. First off, the vice mayor asked me to check on a fishing pier at the Big Carlos Pass Bridge.
At the council meeting.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
And so I wanted to report back. Using my considerable contacts, I came up with an answer. According to LDOT, or LDOT, there was an optional fishing pier associated with the project development and environmental phase of the new bridge. The county started working on the permitting of the pier. The National Marine Fisheries folks sent the county a strongly worded letter that they were not going to support the addition of any new fishing piers in primary small-tooth soft fish habitat. The county explored options, continuing to attempt to include a fishing pier in the construction. FDOT sided with the National Marine Fisheries and indicated they would not sponsor the permit request from Lee County. At that point, the decision was made to table the idea of a new fishing pier. And I hope that answers your question, Vice Mayor, or brings you up to speed on.
Actually, that's breaking news, John. Thank you very much for sharing that. No fishing pier on the South Bridge. I guess the other question would be, and I hate to do this to you, but there was rumors of a fishing pier on the North Bridge, but it sounds like those have been stymied as well. Or do we know anything about that? I should have asked both.
Yeah, that would have been nice at the
Sorry,
time.
sorry.
As if the constituents don't keep you busy enough.
I've got the Vice Mayor.
Maybe I could come to your office hours. Yeah.
See, I'm going to be publishing them in disappearing ink, and I will look into that and find out what I can for you.
Thank you, John. It's actually very helpful. I've had a lot of people ask about the South Bridge, and there was discussion of a fishing pier, and for a while it was in the proposal.
Yeah.
And you've explained why it no longer is.
The second thing is sit back, relax, folks. I'm going to take you off the front of the funny pages. I'm going to give the folks that complain but do nothing about it an opportunity to rake me over the coals on social media. I'd like the town council to consider annexing San Carlos Island. And dead silence creeps through.
Well, I wouldn't even know what the process is to start that, or
It's a lengthy one and considerable one, and I've given Nancy I gave Nancy a heads up on it Friday. I assume it'd be something that we'd want to discuss at an M&P. As a courtesy, I contacted Commissioner Mullica. I kind of thought that was why he was here today, because I think he was dumbfounded by the suggestion as well. I think originally he was thinking that there was maybe I had a problem with his leadership or something, and that could not be further from the truth. I'm not seeking to do this to harm the relationship we've worked hard to restore with the county. I just think this is something that is about Fort Myers Beach and the town growing itself. I think personally for me, a lot of folks look at that as the entrance to Fort Myers Beach, and that's our front door. And I'd like to maybe have the town have a little more control over it if it works out, or if it's even feasible.
well, you need a second person to at least bring it to an MMP for discussion.
True.
I'd be open to having it on a future MMP for discussion.
I would
Vice
too.
Mayor?
It's
So
interesting.
would you,
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
you're just thinking San Carlos Island or the same district that the fire district has all the way up to?
Well, that's one of the keys about annexation in the state is it has to be contiguous. I guess a bridge can make it contiguous, but at this point, I just think San Carlos Island. And maybe that's something at an MMP if we want to discuss that further.
Yeah,
I'm open to that as well.
Yeah, does it make sense where the zip code is?
And maybe with me, it's all about the numbers. Do the numbers work? Is what's
Well, I think we've got consensus to put it on the upcoming
Yes.
MMP meeting for discussion, and any information you can provide.
so when you go through annexation, do the people that you're annexing get to vote or?
Yes.
Well, there's two forms of annexation. One is voluntary, one is involuntary. So I don't know what the current consensus is. Generally, it's not voluntary, but sometimes it is when there's a project outside a municipality that wants to be in that municipality. But I can prepare background information for the MMP.
It's
And
not
yeah,
like you're overworked or anything, but we just wanted to add one more thing to your plate.
And you have a good
Always
case.
a pleasure.
You have a good case study for the island. I mean, that's how this became
Yes.
a town. It was
Yes.
involuntary annexation. I mean, voluntary, actually. They actually voted to do that. So yes, Scott, Councilor Safford, they do get a vote.
Okay, what else we got, Scott, or John?
Well, I'm changing my name to Scott, but I'm going with Scott Stafford.
Scott King. Got Scott King and John Safford.
That's my dad.
I think that those two things are big enough, so I'll move on.
All right, I do not have anything new this week to add. So if there's nothing else to add. Anything else, Nancy?
No.
Andy?
No,
Actually,
sir.
real quick, just give us an update on the town hall, where we're at as far as potential
Yeah.
opening date.
I'd love for it to be tomorrow. We're still working with the fire department. Hopefully this week, we'll get our permits to be able to move forward with everything we need there. I think there's about a couple of weeks work, maybe 3 weeks downstairs to finalize the downstairs. The key is going to be the elevator. We've been told that it could take a couple months to get the shaft, but we've asked him to really push that. And that was about 2 weeks ago.
Talking
So
about
we're,
shaft
we're there again. So that's where we are. Pushing.
And then I guess since we're trying to get some updates where we're sitting, how is this RFP? Is that out? You said a couple weeks ago it was going to be out. Has it gone out? Is it out?
It's being advertised today, I believe. So it should hit the papers and all that today.
For the Bay Oaks.
That's
the-
where the-
To
the
do this
grant.
project on this
The grant.
property. Yep.
Right. We
So-
broke it up into two phases. The first phase is going to be a final grade or finished grade of material and the prep, site prep. The next one will be ITB for the multi-purpose field, the pickleball courts, and the parking area in the walk trail. So that's coming this week.
Are you starting to get heartburn yet about potentially losing that $1 million grant based on what the town manager just said?
We are trying our best and as fast as we can go.
Can we get occupancy, Andy, in the building as far as the upper 2 levels for staff to be able to start transitioning there?
I don't know for sure, but I would imagine we can. And also once we can get, again, the fire alarm and the doors, things like that are so key. I believe we can get in the building, I believe, without the elevator. The elevator is just for ADA accessibility. It's not for safety and occupancy and things like, because actually if there's a fire, you don't want to use the elevator. So it's not tied to that, but there also has to be a component on the elevator for if you get stuck on the elevator, you've got, alarms and things. So it's kind of like that's an accessory structure to the building that's just for ADA requirements. And if we don't have employees or any, our staff or residents who need to be upstairs, everybody can be met with downstairs. So there's not a problem with having a town hall downstairs. So I would think we could without the elevator.
Well, certainly, hopefully, we're going to formulate a plan so we don't lose that $1 million grant.
Correct. Working on
We
that.
got to move whatever we got here around to continue moving forward.
Correct.
Can I just ask a quick question? For a lot of people ask me what goes on behind our town hall with all those piles. Is that what happens? What's going on back there, and then what will happen once this new plan comes into play?
Jeff Helge, Community Services Director, Town of Fort Myers Beach. So all of this is going to be used, or most of it. I mean, there is some debris that they have to pick through while they do it, but it's going to be crushed or used for the sub base. So we're trying to raise the area about 3 feet. So all of that, including the concrete, will be crushed and used for a sub base to raise it up.
But it's day to day though. Is some of that used for beach renourishment? Is some of that are people who are demolishing buildings, putting concrete back there? Talk a little bit about those interactions.
Yeah, so we do have a couple things in place with some demolition companies that we know we need that, and it's going to be a lot cheaper to just crush the concrete than to bring in fill. So we have some arrangements with some of the builders or the demolition companies to bring the concrete here. So it's not just a free for all, you can dump wherever, but we do have some agreements in place.
Did I hear that the Wyndham might be one of those properties that's depositing
some of it? Yeah,
concrete
stuff
there?
that we can. I mean, there's still trash in there, so we asked them not to bring things with trash in.
So when we're playing pickleball one day, we could be theoretically playing on the old pinchers.
If we want to go that route, sure. Yes.
That's sure. That goes through your mind.
Yeah, I mean, this park, and I guess this park is going to be made up of a lot of places on this island.
Maybe we could just name it Wyndham Field.
There you go.
There you go.
Or Pinchers Park. Pinchers Pickleball.
Oh, there you go.
Pinchers Pickleball Park.
Anything else? Anyone? All right.
Move to adjourn.
Got a motion by Counselor King.
Second.
Second by Counselor Stafford. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned at 10:40.